Hey everyone, DFA here, welcome back to the channel, and today we are taking a look at the ships, yes, ships in plural that are offered in the February Blitz pass. The Southern and the Eastern Dragon, yes, two ships for the price of, yeah, actually not a lot, and you get an epic commander on top of it as well. It sounds like a fairly good deal, isn't it? Well, let's find out what these two ships are worth and if they're actually as efficient than they are beautiful. Let's take a look at them on paper, because you see that they're actually a copy of an already existing vessel. And here we have them next to a couple of tier 7 heavy cruisers. So first thing you notice, the Eastern Dragon gets a fuel score and precise aim and the torpedo reload. The Southern Dragon gets the combat instruction and the engine accelerator and the AA skill. But for the rest, it's exactly the same as the Miyoko. The same survivability, pretty good, same speed, excellent, poor maneuverability, average guns, a little bit less range on the first Dragon, a little bit more on the second Dragon. The reload is also slightly different, but you still get the same crappy turret rotation. No secondaries, it's a Japanese cruiser, no auto secondaries, and you do get the amazing torpedoes of the Miyoko with a little bit more range on the Southern Dragon, and a torpedo reload on the Eastern Dragon that leaves you this really nice burst damage of 36,000, and for the rest the AA is absolutely identical, but the Southern Dragon gets an AA skill to improve it when it's needed. So it looks like these are actually just improved Miyokos. Let's take a look at them in action. And we start with the yellow one, the Southern Dragon. So I've already spent a considerable amount of time explaining the playstyle of Japanese heavy cruisers. It's one of my best series, published I think last year, something like that. So take a look at it to get an in-depth review of the playstyle of the Japanese heavy cruisers, and especially the Miyoko. But to sum it up, you want to get as close as you can to your enemy to be using those amazing torpedoes, and you actually want to get them to chase you, because that's the best way to be using them. Any other scenario will require you to show full broadside, and even though you have a decent amount of protection, any battleship is going to chew you up very easily. I'm following that rook, but I don't like it, because I know that it's going to get a little bit closer to the enemy and I can actually hide behind it, so that seems like a good play, but it's also looking like it's exiting the epicenter area. And that's not good, that's not what we want ultimately, because my team is completely surrendering the two areas in the middle, and yeah, that rook is going to get whacked by the destroyer, so yeah. It's a bit more complicated. Now the combat instructions, the good news is they trigger after 20 hits, and if I'm not mistaken, no, it's actually 30, it's actually 30, you need a little bit more. And then it is kind of the standard, you get 20 seconds of decreased reload, increased accuracy and penetration. So that's actually quite nice, but yeah, on that battleship we're not really going to need it because we're shooting HE anyway. So just like the Japanese cruisers, you tend to shoot AP at anything smaller than a light cruiser, or equal to a light cruiser, and HE at all the rest, because those guns are not known for their huge penetration. And you see the torpedo angles, they're actually really bad. I'm trying really hard to get that guy to follow me, to come behind me and put myself in position to fire torpedoes, but he simply does not want to do that. And that is kind of the issue with Japanese cruisers, summarized in one sentence. It's going to be quite nice on open maps with 3 bases, but when you are in a confrontation scenario like center control or epicenter, it's a lot harder to be using them. And you see that I actually have to show quite a lot of skin to put my torpedoes on target. Unfortunately, the range it's not enough to let us fire them for the moment, so I kinda have to retreat for the time being and show, I would say, a small profile to that Lion can really hurt me with his I don't know how many guns and try to take down that York. Because yeah, we're losing that thing quite badly, 220 points behind, and we're actually in the process of losing the final outer ring, so that's really not good indeed. And I'm gonna have to do something about it. It's the half of the game and I'm going to take a risk. I see that the DDs are retreating from the center area, and I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to hide behind that mountain. So it's a calculated risk, because the battleships there, they are all in front of it. It's not like I'm going to get flanked radically by 1 or 2 battleships. The Lion is leaving and the Colorado is super slow. and I absolutely have to cap there. I guess I could stand on the back trying to farm damage, but that's not going to win me that battle. I really have to take action there. So let's see if we can actually remove that Leon from the game, and then I would have one side of the island who will be completely clean. And so yes, as expected, this is not the one with the fuel smoke you have to expose yourselves to get into position, and we did get smacked by, probably it was the Nagato, but we are now in a good position. We have actually secured the 2 areas that we absolutely wanted, and now the enemy team has actually to make a move. So it's kind of the same playstyle as the Miyoko. You do get the additional gimmick of the combat instruction. It's actually quite nice. It's always welcome, but yeah, it's not going to stop a Gaga or a Saipan from bullying you. It's just going to make it a little bit more annoying to him. Yeah, and the engine acceleration, it's not necessarily needed on that kind of ships. To be honest, your speed is already quite good enough. Something like an acceleration thing would have been a bit more useful. But here you go, you see me here play around the island, try to get as little exposure as I can. I'm actually worried a little bit about that Colorado, but I'm not sure he's actually going to target me. He's behind an island now, so I can actually show less skin to that Gneisenau. And yeah, it doesn't seem to be really worried about me either. At that range, the Gneisenau is probably not going to be my worst enemy, but I'm going to bow tank to him just to be sure. I've done a good job capping the central area, and essentially, yeah, we still have to find 200 points over the last minute and a half, so it's going to be quite complicated. The combat instructions, they're not amazing, like a 10% benefit in reload and penetration. Yeah, it's a welcome gimmick. It's actually quite fun, but don't expect to be dealing a lot of increased damage there. And sure enough, we do finally get into a position to be launching our torpedoes. That Nagato seems to finally be moving forward, trying to cap the areas that I was just occupying. Let's see if we can actually hit him with our torpedoes. So that's really the playbook for these Japanese ships. You want to be using your speed, you want to be retreating, trying to get ships to follow you, because your torpedoes, you really cannot fire them when you're actually approaching or attacking a ship frontally. And yeah, he actually dodges, that prevents him from getting into position, and he's actually going to stop there. So we should be winning this. The Nagato is not going to cap the central area anymore. We stopped him with our torpedoes, kind of. And this is going to be a win for the Southern Dragon. So yeah, I could have sat back and just farm damage behind the battleships, but that's not what I like. I like to take risks, and in this game it paid off. Well, if it had not paid off, it would have made another one of my YouTube videos probably, but not this one. And you actually see how the guns of the Southern Dragon are actually helping him do a fairly good job, because we did not land a single torpedo hit in that battle. Now let's take a look at the one that's a little bit more torpedo focused, the Eastern Dragon. And we have it on a map that's actually pretty good for that kind of ship. It's an open map with lots of islands, so you can lay out ambushes, hide from enemy fire. You can use your mobility, and ships will be kind of obliged to be moving towards you one way or another. So it's really the ideal map for that kind of ship. But there is a CV. So we will not be able to play with our concealment quite a lot. It's always kind of the trade-off with those things, because as soon as you get spotted, you become a priority target for battleships, and yeah, it's always a bit more complicated for you than a beautiful ship as well. I'm not sure which one of the two is actually the most beautiful. I would probably go, yeah, that's the Southern one, but I think mine is the nicest. I will go for the Eastern Dragon. They've done a fantastic job with these two ships, to be honest. Yeah, but yeah, enough talking about cosmetics. What we are doing here is we are simply following our team, and we want to first be safe and see where the enemy team is actually going. There's only one DD on the enemy team, I'm not too worried about it. Simply because we have quite a lot of cruisers lying around, and yeah, so there you go, that's the Eastern Dragon I have in front of me. So that's interesting, Eastern Dragon versus Eastern Dragon. I should be firing AP at that ship. Well, it's a heavy cruiser, it's debatable, but But I'm going to switch to AP and we'll see where it takes us, and immediately the guy is running towards me. I turn around, I prepare myself to be firing torpedoes. Can we actually use our precise aim to land a couple of salvos, because this one it's a little bit weaker on the gun side. Yeah, you see, that's exactly how you want to engage with that thing, and ideally you want to turn around and fire the second volley of torpedoes. There I choose to activate the torpedo reload and fire a last salvo at the Eastern Dragon to make sure that I take him out, and I'm going to... There you go, bye bye. Actually, the AP did quite a nice job on him, but now it's time to retreat because we do have a battleship right in front, and we dodge the torpedoes of that thing. So you get 2 fuel smokes to get out of these situations. I'm not going to be using them right now because I suspect that Colorado is going to go for the other cruiser that's a much more interesting target than me. And yes, the cruiser is kind of asking for it, and yeah, there you go. That's a pretty safe farm right now. So obviously we didn't watch where we were going, we hit an island as I do in almost every single video, but let's take a look at, yeah, the Colorado is going to be focused on this one, the CV is focused on the ship on my right, so it's a pretty safe situation for me. I can actually use my speed, catch up with the Colorado and farm it as long as the Southern Dragon is staying alive. It's not going to last for too long, I'm afraid, because it's not really using it the way these ships are meant to be used. Or any heavy cruiser is meant to be used, to be honest, because in such a direct confrontation with a battleship, and especially a battleship like the Colorado, you're not going to last very long. So you really have to use your mobility, your concealment, your agility to get into situations where you can farm pretty comfortably, and yeah. Unfortunately, it looks like it's not going to be distracted for too long with the with the Southern Dragon, because yeah, it's getting a little bit too close for comfort. So we do set him on fire, we do have a decent fire chance on those guns, but the Southern Dragon gets taken down, and that means that the Colorado is probably going to turn his attention to me right now. But no, wait, we are simply following the other dragon, and this one should be the... yeah, it decides to hide in smoke. I'm not going to do it. I think I should be doing it right now, because this guy, no, he's not going for me, he's going for the most immediate target, takes him out. And it looks like I will have a reason to be using these smokes very, very soon. So yeah, usually when you get into a position, a forward firing position with those torpedoes, you get killed in the process. There that Colorado was being very, very nice to my team and decided not to change course or direction, but yeah, that's obviously a very, very basic mistake that he's making there. And now we are stuck between the CV and a cruiser that's coming our way. The Colorado gets taken out by the torpedoes, and I decide to activate the smoke to simply get into position to be dueling that Chumpon. And so you actually see the pros and cons of these ships in one sequence. You see that indeed the torpedoes are incredibly powerful. The smoke screen, it's a very, very good thing to help you get out of tricky situations. But yeah, the turret rotation, it's absolute garbage. Those things are not meant to be swinging left and right, twisting and turning. Yeah, they're really not maneuverable enough for that, and the turret rotation, it's really not ideal as well. The other line, the light cruiser line, it's a little bit more suitable for that. And now we are in a 1 versus 1 with the CV, so it's a very easy win, but it looks like I'm not going to be surviving too long. My rudder, it's completely shot, and it's going... yeah, it's not going to go very well, right? Okay, so that's the end of the game for us. We've done a fairly decent job. The Eastern Dragon, it's actually, it's probably my favorite out of the 2 ships. I like it quite a lot, I think. Wargaming has done, well, there are 2 sides to this. You could say that they simply copy-pasted the Miyoko, made it better and gave it a nice camo, and indeed, that's looking at the glass half empty. You could say that it's a bit lazy, and you would be right as well, but on the other hand you're getting 2 of these very decent premiums, actually pretty good premiums for a fairly reasonable price, and you get an epic commander as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag as far as I'm concerned, because when you look at Wargaming's very aggressive monetization strategies, all the even tier 6 ships now are 13 crates, so everything is either in a crate or in a sonar sweep. and then you're getting 2 of these beautiful ships for, yeah, a very small amount of money in a Blitz pass. So yeah, I bought it. Those videos were made with my personal account. I really enjoyed the 2 ships. I enjoyed them when I tested them a couple of months ago. For me, it's a really easy decision to be buying that Blitz pass. Yes, you are not getting the best cruisers at tier 7, that are still going to be the Abruzzi and the Belfast, but you're getting 2 decent introduction crew trainers as well for the Pan-Asian light cruiser lines, and essentially, yeah, for that kind of money, I think it's a pretty good situation, everything all together. So there you go, enough of me messing around with the camera. The game is going to end soon. I hope you've enjoyed it, my review of these 2 ships. I hope you learned a couple of interesting things. I will leave you with the closing sequence and see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe, take care. That was DFA signing out. Bye bye.